I like to say that I got my, formal education and my degrees at NYU, Columbia University Teachers College, and I have a PhD from Georgia Tech, but my real degree is in my mom's beauty parlor.
I hate being a woman. You ain't no woman yet, Rainbow. What you're feeling now is the easy part. Do you think I could win an audition? You too good to audition. You could be traveling all over the world. Just snatch it if you wanted.
Hey everybody, this is Mike and you're watching the Reelblack podcast. And today we have the honor and privilege of being with a dear friend of the show, Ayoka Chenzira, whose debut feature, Almas Rainbow, has just gotten a 4K restoration and it's going to be premiering in theaters in New York and LA beginning July 29th. How's it going, Ayoka? Where are you at? Where are you at? You've got mountains and sea and clouds.
I am resting in Costa Rica.
Okay, but you're going to make it back for the premieres.
Yes, I will be there.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that's important for people to know that you'll be at the BAM Cinematheque and out in LA for these screenings. So how does it feel? That's the first question. How does it feel to see your work restored in this way? It's meticulous. I've seen the film many times before, but never in this light.
Yeah, the restoration it's just exquisite. Almas Rainbow was designed to be in theaters for you to have an immersive theatrical experience. And seeing the 4K with the cast and crew, it was like I traveled in time. I'm still sort of floating from that experience. I traveled back into the past and I came back to the future in a very short period of time. So I am still floating and giddy and in awe.
No, it sounds better than it has before. They found the stereo soundtrack for it. It's never been in stereo before. And
yes.
I mean, it looks on video, it looks just like the film, which is something even when you had the previous DVD release, which looked really good. This is like 10 times more detailed, 10 times more stuff. And what's great about it, the film is pretty much timeless. I mean, it has that 90s vibe about it with the colors and the dancing and all that, but it also, in the production design, it has a timeless feel. Can you speak to that?
Yes. And so both the mother, Alma, and her sister / aunt, Ruby, are really kind of the same person. One is more of a glamorous version of the other, but they still are caught in a particular time period. And, one of the lovely things about the house that we shot in, which is owned by Peggy and Lloyd Toon, and Peggy Toon was, she designed, they were in the process of restoring that house. And her husband had an antique collection. He's also an artist. So a lot of the materials, the artifacts in that space come from them. And I think with the wood and the stained glass and the kind of architecture was there, along with what the art department was able to do, certainly the costuming by Sidney Kai Ennis, all help it to feel timeless, not quite in the present, not quite the past, but somewhere in between. There is this very beautiful space, this almost bubble world that these characters inhabit.
No, it's a fun movie to watch. Victoria Gabrielle Platt, Isaiah Washington, young Isaiah Washington in this film. It's really worth checking out just to see these performances. What interests me about the film is the time that it was made. It's sort of, when looking at it now in retrospect, it kind of reminds me of Kathleen Collins' early work and sort of the kind of Black independent films that were being made prior to the commercialization, the Spike Lee era. Who were you watching? What were your inspirations before you started making feature film?
I was raised by a single mom who owned a beauty parlor, and a very beautiful, beautiful beauty parlor. She was the sole owner, proprietor. And so I grew up listening to stories primarily from women of color very early on. My mom also loved the movies, as you know, and as I've said previously, she took me to every age inappropriate movie there was. And at that time, you know, the movies were very grand. They were big. They had intermission. They had, you know, red drapes that parted. It was a big deal to go to the movies. And so I knew from a very early age that I wanted to recreate the feeling and the experience that I was having as a child. And so my formal training in filmmaking was at NYU. And as you know, we get to be trained a lot, but when you're finished training, there aren't necessarily jobs or people who desire, you know, what it is that you are offering. And that was certainly the case for me in Almas Rainbow. I mean, no one really knew what to do with me or the film, because from what we heard, the feedback from distributors and marketers, they didn't really know what it was. They had not seen characters like that. And it was really against the grain of what was popular at the time. And in fact, the company that I had at that time was called Crossgrain Pictures. So I was very aware of being cross the grain of what was being offered, which were films that looked at Black male struggles and tensions in a particular way. And Almas Rainbow was not that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 1993, 1994. That was the entree, the Boys in the Hoods, the menaces to societies. This is the complete opposite in a lot of ways. And
well, you know, I maintain that, you know, follow the money and follow the interests. And there was a particular kind of interest in Black culture at that time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people fund what they are interested in. And so, you know, with all due respect to those films, that was a particular slice of life, but not the only slice of life mm-hmm. that we know exists in our communities.
Right. Well, it continues, but I think now is the perfect time for people to rediscover Almas Rainbow, especially with the Black girl magic and all the thoughts of empowering Black women. I mean, Rainbow is a very dynamic character who basically has a dream, is very, very fully fleshed out. I mean, can you speak to just what Rainbow represents to you?
Yeah, so Rainbow is at that period in her life where her body is changing. Her emotions she's, you know, super sensitive, super feisty. But she hasn't had the kind of support that she needs in her household to kind of help navigate through what she is feeling and experiencing. So her mother has actually stopped growing. And that was part of the conversation that I wanted to have, which is we have these beautiful children, these beautiful girl children that are blossoming, and then they get to a point where we want to actually stunt their growth. And part of that is because moms are scared. And there's a lot of reasons to be scared, but you have to figure out how to help them navigate through the world. The other thing you have to figure out is how you as a mom continue to grow, because you're not just a mother. You are a spirit of being in the world. And there's so much for us to experience in the world. But, you know, we've been trained to kind of shut our lives down after a particular period and just focus and overprotect your children. So I wanted to talk about not only young people, young girls in particular, coming into a fuller sense of themselves, but how a mother could also do that. And so Rainbow grows, but the mother also grows as well.
Yeah, it's a dual coming of age kind of
story. Exactly.
And what also it's interesting. When I first saw the movie back when it first came out, and when I watch it now, I center on on different characters. I'm more interested now that I'm in my 50s as in Alma's character than I am in Rainbow's, but I can relate to Rainbow because I was basically her age at the time that the movie came out. So it's double fun for me. But speaking now, and things have come full circle. Like you spent some time in education, and now I noticed your name on Queen Sugar and dozens of other TV episodes. I mean, can you speak to the renaissance or the resurgence? It's a word that I want to say. It's a re. Can you speak to the Ayokization?
Well, I never went anywhere.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is I've always made some kind of work. I come out of documentaries and experimental filmmaking. And much of my life has been in the world of experimentation. So I'm still making things, even if no one is distributing them or marketing them, or, the world isn't seeing them. I'm a creative person. I'm still seeing that. In 2018, I got a call from Ava DuVernay asking if I would be interested in directing an episode of Queen Sugar. And all of my friends said, you were going to hate television. And I why? And they said, because you're so used to doing everything yourself. Everything, the hiring, the raising the money, the looking for, costumes, just everything. And television isn't like that. Well, when I set foot on Queen Sugar, on the set of Queen Sugar, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. Because, television is very different, but it's a big machine where everybody is giving their best to the story. And there's a lot of, opinions, there's a lot of protection of the brand. But being able to lift the story from the page still remains the same. And so since that time, yes, I've been, television has been very welcoming. And so it's a space that I've been working in more and more.
Fantastic. Thank you for spending some time with us on Reelblack TV.
Thank you for the interview. It's always great to see you, Mike.
All right.
Stay away from boys.
If I was you, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it with anybody. It hurts.
That handyman would do you good.
He's not my type.
With due respect, my love, nobody ever is.
I'm only gonna be here for a little bit, just to do a little show.
Are you my real mother?
No, I'm not. You got a real mother right downstairs. And I wouldn't trade her for the world.
My name is Ruby Gold, and I am here to entertain you tonight. Woo!